about.
Yeah, we already
Yes.
live. Hello, everyone.
Cool.
Yeah, and we are at number 83 of
Of
DevKami.
DevKami.
Yeah, and it's only two of us right now.
Yep.
So I'm chilling out.
And I'm swimming, and as usual, I've been complaining about JavaScript people and their. I have this term for that. What do I use? The term is called they have a collective attention deficit disorder.
Yeah.
But it's relevant after this. It's relevant. But before that, let's talk about events. Events we have for the next week or so.
You want
the
to
first one
you want to share the calendar?
Yes, the calendar can be found at
Do you want to
devkami.com.
share? Just share screen it. I think.
Yeah, just share screen. Oh, okay. Let's share screen. I have another. How? Oh man,
I'm
I
sharing
suck
the
at
link
this.
to Facebook.
Yep, I'm going to share my screen. Meetups. As you can see, our event is a bit bare. But so the first one is we have DevOps Meetup that's happening just now. It might be still happening, but it's on Microsoft Live and it's not as open. But that happened. The next one would be Women Who Code Product Talk Series number 5. So you can go to the same page, and you will actually find the registration link, and they will give you the Zoom links and whatnot before you can join it. Then after that, we have Ruby KL Meetup, Ruby Tuesday. I do not know how they're going to run the event because, technically they can. I'm just not sure that they should. But that happens apparently at Rapid River. Maybe we should ask more detail later. We'll share it out soon.
Right, we don't have Tristan here. And it's still
Yes,
MCO, right?
Yes, technically, yes.
Wait. Let me stop the camera. Oh.
Yeah, it's possible. Tristan, how you going to do Ruby Meetup?
Someone summoned me, so now I'm here. No, we're doing this online. I don't know. I'm
Zoom
not sure to put it there.
Are you using StreamYard?
We don't know yet. Probably StreamYard. Okay. We don't know yet.
Just use it since we pay for it.
Yes. Yeah. No, so most likely, I'm going to probably suggest this. The presentation itself is on StreamYard, and then there's another Zoom channel that we just put on the on the stream. Similar to how we trialed the Kopitiam session of last time we were here. So we just broadcast the Zoom channel. So there will be most likely Zoom for the participants and StreamYard for the presentations. So we can have YouTube Live and all of these things.
Yeah, why not both,
for people who don't want to participate. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, may have fast over
today.
See
how we figure it out.
Say hi, fast.
Cool.
Hey, everyone.
Wave your hand. Wave your hand. All right. So I think that's the 2 event happening next week. If you have any more event, you can tell us on Engineers Mind and whatnot, or even leave a comment on our Facebook page because we have that now.
Yeah, you should go for the Ruby Tuesday. I'll be speaking there. I'll be talking about Protobuf and downloading manga from Viz and Shonen Jump. So they have an interesting encryption thing going on there. So the JPEG itself is encrypted, and then it's decrypted on Canvas. So you can't actually save the JPEG from whatever it's showing you.
Just so you know, breaking encryption is possibly breaking DMCA.
Well, it's not breaking it because they actually have it on the source code. So and it's not
anything.
I wouldn't say
anything that you rendered is capturable.
Yeah. Unfortunately, yes. So there's that. There's a line for it, But so join Ruby Tuesday on Tuesday. The link will be out in our user channel. So listen to Tristan to give his interesting talk, which may or may not be legal.
Oh, it's
okay.
legal
That being said,
because you already are consuming whatever they're giving you. You just want to consume it while offline.
Uh-huh.
That's the only thing.
Okay.
It's freedom
I'm
of
going
use.
I'm going to remove my stream now. Okay, so let's talk about news. What's interesting for the past week?
I don't know.
It's
We have a few
interesting.
interesting one. We have a few interesting one. I lost
Yes.
it, but I remember.
Today on the news is Superbase, Firebase alternative.
Oh yeah, yes, and it's also interesting because apparently, they are from the CTO of Superhands. It's a Malaysian company focused on Service Heroes. Sorry. Oh, the name is. Oh my goodness, that is bad. I'm going to stop screen sharing. Okay, it's from Service Hero, and apparently they got a buzz from.
It's not from Service Hero. Was
The CTO used to work for Service
Yeah.
Hero.
Okay.
And I don't know if he left or he got fired or there was an acquisition and he was let go. I'm not sure what
But
the
it
details
doesn't
are.
matter. History is history. But he have an interesting project called Super what?
Base. Super
Super
Base.
Base.
Not Super Hands.
I'm so confused.
Super Base.
Which is actually an alternative, open source alternative to Firebase.
Firebase, and
I wonder
the
if
way they
it's-
do it
it's,
is very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
The Postgres one is actually they use Elixir to listen on to use the Postgres. I forgot the Postgres API instead of using the subscribe. Shit, I'm messing up all the terminologies. But it's
I wonder if it's API compatible with Firebase, like where you can use all of the Firebase libraries and then you just change the endpoint and everything still works.
no idea.
But do
We
you
should
actually do
check it
that
out.
though? Yeah. We should
Oh.
check it out.
There are a number, like for example, Airbreak, which is like an error handling thing, like it's like Rollbar. So there is an open source equivalent called Airbit. It's like wire protocol compatible with Airbreak, such that you can even use the same gems. You just change the URL. So if this
Right.
is wire protocol compatible with Firebase, then that would get a lot of adoption.
Okay. Interesting. So I
I
assume
wonder.
those things are hosted.
I'm sure the business aspect here is there is hosted, so it's open source, but they will like trust the experts to host this for you, but pay us a bit.
Yeah.
Something like
Because the demography of people that use Firebase would tend to won't run this kind of infrastructure on their own. So it's a demography. So I mean, it is backend as a service, meaning you really don't want to work with the backend.
I think we talked about this like in the previous like session where a lot of like Android or iOS developers, they prefer using Firebase because they don't have to bother with the backend.
Yes.
So I guess it's the same. Like you don't want to bother with the DevOps, just fire. Just
Firebase.
Hire someone to. It's Firebase, hire and Superhands and Superbase and all of these things. Yeah, but hire someone to
outsource.
Manage.
It's actually very in a startup. In the startup language, probably I'm not sure how correct it is. You use Firebase to bootstrap your project.
You use Firebase to bootstrap your project, and then you're locked into the Firebase. To the Firebase ecosystem.
It can get expensive though.
Yes.
And then
the scaling level.
You try to get 4 series funding so that you can move out of Firebase because it's eating up to your cash.
Cost.
So that's the problem.
Yes. So that's an interesting one. Superbase, very interesting. Check them out. So anything else that is interesting? There is a comparison on Amazon Graviton. They already do a benchmark. So
is this the new CPU by Amazon?
Yes, correct. So
we
that
lost
the test.
We lost the Amazon guy here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he left. That's too bad.
Oh well. Then we have.
Yeah.
I kind of lost a lot of stuff. I think that's about it though. Not many things happening.
Magical is not a good word for me. I mean, it's not a pros to me. It
Uh,
means that it works, but you don't know how and you don't know why.
Yes. Put it this way, there is time you want to use. There is time you want to use. Use fire. You want to understand technology work.
Magical.
The whole point is use it, but know how to move out from it.
Yeah.
So that's my way
Because-
of thinking of things.
Like power delivery, USB power delivery is magical. Like it just chooses which voltage based on these things. So I
Yes.
don't know why you wouldn't, why you would stick to like barrel chargers, for example, when you can have like a single thing. But if you don't understand how it works, then you're in a bit of a bind when things break. You probably will just buy a new one, so that becomes expensive.
Yes, it's more a better analogy for a consumer side would be operating system. You let's say you only know Apple operating system, right, and all that. Then you want, let's say, at one time, you can only afford a 2,000 ringgit laptop, economic. The review story now, you can't afford you can either get a very old MacBook or you can use something that is relatively newer, but you have to learn a new operating system, right? So once you have a better idea how things work in a more technical way, then you don't have to worry about this. You just use whatever you have to use, and that's a better way of thinking about it over, say, USB power delivery. Yeah, unless you're an electrical engineer, you probably won't change it.
Yeah.
Which is the thing with many libraries, right? You don't want to go
Correct.
into the internals. You just want to know how
Yes.
to use it.
And you have a general idea how it works, right? And that's the whole point of understanding backend. So my thing about magical is, yeah, it's magical, proof, abracadabra, and things work. But they're also it's magical because you also know why it works. So the level between a muggle and a wizard is that.
It'll be like
just use.
Thor, you know.
Oh, I'm talking about Harry
In
Potter, y'all. Harry Potter.
Okay.
All right. Let's move on.
What else? What other buzzy stuff going on?
Postgres conference is online. I do not know what is new, but every year they have something interesting coming in. So I didn't catch on. I know it's happening, but I do not know what happened.
How about PyCon having Guido van Rossum?
It's officially announced by the PyCon community on their social. We don't have a website. Who we interview do not know, but how the online conference is being held also do not know. I'm not part of the organizing committee now. I kind of retired from the PyCon community, but if you get Guido, that'll be interesting, even though it's online. Thank you, internet. And
is the reason
yes.
why Guido is able to go all of these conferences because it's online?
No, often Guido would be focused on the Europe and US side because the Asia other conference outside Euro PyCon and PyCon US is actually still small, relatively speaking. Even Singapore, you get like only a few hundred or so compared to thousands.
This is online. Basically, everyone can attend, right?
Correct. And also and also it's easier in a way that this is not PyCon Malaysia, it is PyCon APAC. So it's our turn to run the APAC now. It's like it's the Python conference version of the Southeast Asia game where we pass around the Southeast Asia region. Same thing. It's our turn.
Do you think there would be more high-profile speakers that will be speaking on smaller groups just because it's online?
Possible. Already happened because what happened is because the opportunity to run online conference is easier now, as in more is more easily available. There is actually smaller Python conference run by independent group by higher profile people. They bring higher profile people because that happens to be in the vicinity or work with the same startup, etc., etc. So that happens. Whether we can ask for other to actually give talk, that's another story together. It's about arrangement and time, because ironically, we don't have a lot of physical meetup now or conference. We have more and more global online meetups.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the irony. That's the irony between pre-COVID and post-COVID for in terms of conference. So yeah, more conference now. It take up more time, but it's also more global and also takes up more person's time. So you're a higher profile than that. So yeah. And the last one is, I think that's about it though. That's about it from my side. If there's nothing, we should continue on our topic.
Yeah, so I guess we go to the continuation of the radar.
Yeah,
Correct.
we're gonna focus on language and frameworks because this is more interesting.
And also because you're not here, I do not know how the practice is.
Yeah, and
If
Malcolm is on the Malcolm is on Facebook. Maybe we should get him like his comments on these things.
Yes.
I'm sure this would be up his alley.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, let's start with the first one.
I see a very controversial topic on the lower right.
All right. React code. The only thing I know is that a lot of people likes it. I also go through some of the code in my React course. Very interesting how things are built, but I don't. But I didn't work long enough to know the difference.
I also don't understand the how why people are enamored so much. Maybe because my skill level in React is not that good yet, so I'm not really familiar. Like I don't see the advantages or disadvantages for that as outside of the normal object-oriented way of doing React. But it could also be because I've like majority of my experience as a software developer was in object-oriented programming, so I can slice and dice my way on object-oriented. But this is
I like it when
feels.
Yeah, I let you finish first.
So this feels very much like how Elixir is doing it, where they have their like a special actor that contains the state, and then you just ask that actor about things to save it, but you don't save it in your own state, basically. So you're like delegating it to some
in a way it became
other
really magical.
extra stuff. Yeah. So that's how I feel about it. So instead of the current entity managing its own state, you're delegating that, and you're just like it's like a magic. So it's like a bag of what is that in Dungeons and Dragons? The bag of something where it's a bottomless bag. I forgot. So you just put state in and put state out there, and then that's how it happens. So I am not sure, but apparently a lot of people like it. Bag of holding. It's a bag of holding.
I don't like it. I like it as in I like if it's simple, but people tend to overuse it. So they end up writing something that is more complex than the what you call it, the class components.
I hope I can add two line. But so one of the things is that I can write a function now, which is actually like V as an object-oriented program like Y, right? The reason goes like this, it's when you write a class, you actually have to a lot of setup. I mean, arguably this also have setup, but you move the setup away, then you can only focus on the core logic. So instead of writing one class for one thing,
I prefer the true decorator where it's from the outside in instead of what React hooks is actually inside out, where you actually adapt the hooks to maintain the state. So it became in a way more magical. Like it's not exactly functional as well, but
so you're saying that the API of the hook changes depending on what you want to do with the state.
Because you declare it
it's not
inside.
standard.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not you declare inside instead of something that passed from outside.
Yeah.
So it became in a way
So it's not like an injection, not a dependency
No.
injection thing.
No.
you can achieve something similar with higher order components, which is already which you can do during the class component days anyway. But something I really like about React hooks is that especially when you use TypeScript, it actually simplifies the type. So that part is actually much more ergonomics than the previous class components in terms of the messiness of the types.
So let's move on before we take up too much time.
Yeah, React testing
React
library.
I think the thing about React testing library is, the thing I find React is that the debugging is a bit weird compared to most languages. They also do a lot more stuff behind the scene. So I think a library would definitely be helpful here.
I think
but
it's
I didn't
just
work on
how the React components are written. It's like they tend to be PHP-like, where everything is like mushed together. I think that's the general, especially like components written in 2016, 2017, like during the cowboy days of React. That's generally how it works.
I tend to separate like the core functions with components. So the components only like of course it creates more files, but at least I can easily test the functions only. So the rendering I don't actually test that much.
testing
is
like
actually easier.
correct. Same. It's the reason why we had MVC. We split up the. So originally when we had MVC, we split up the UI. Then we had the logic. Then we had the database. In between, the model view, then all that, right? Then suddenly the view. Then the view suddenly have more views. So it's like MVC with MVC, and you can live it. That's what I think. What I see
It's
about React.
MVC all the way. That's how the universe was made,
Yeah, thanks.
Turtles on top of turtles.
Yes. What is RTL?
Right to left?
Right
No?
to left.
It's not right to left. Just
I do not know what is RTL. So your bug very big because of integration of many part of
It's
code.
React
Not
testing
true.
library.
Okay.
RTL is React testing library. I thought you couldn't.
Actually, the short answer is depends, but it depends.
If you control the side effect well.
Yes.
I'm always towards the terminology of the if you need to do things like in order to reduce the bugs, you need to control your side effects.
Yes. Because it's just software development, right? When you write code, you have modules, then you really have to control what can accept what.
Yeah. I think Welcome should get up here.
Yeah,
We should get him in next time. We should get him
Not
into
even now.
review.
Just get the browser and then just get the headset and we'll talk.
Yeah.
Yes. So let's move on.
I guess no, just because Malcolm is saying a lot, I guess he's just saying this is more of an integration test than anything else. Because if you're talking about how parts work together, and that's the most of the source of bugs, then that's what you want to test. So
yes,
integration.
So Vue.
He will come in soon.
Here's the thing with here's the thing with the React hooks and state and those things, because I started off with Vue first, before React, and I feel that how Vue does the state with Vuex, which is like state management, de facto state management library, is much better than how React does it. So React itself doesn't have a state management, de facto state management. Redux is like something on top of React.
You actually have it, but it's not global state management. In
component like
user
thing.
now.
Correct,
you have use states. Use state is the replacement of the state.
Yeah, correct.
But,
so it's like
at
what
least
Vuex is supposed to be.
Yeah.
But Vue is different, especially it actually embraces object-oriented and mutations. React is very much like I will be functional. It's all going to be like
I think
how things
the
are.
one is called Vuex, right?
Yeah, it's de facto. It's by the Vue people as well.
Which is similar with MobX, right? With what's available to React. Is that?
I'm not sure if it's
I
available
can't
to
compare.
React,
It's,
but
it's a very old way of like changing the states, right? You just call it and you mutate the state, right?
yeah, you're treating it as no. So there's a way to do it. So you cannot change the state by itself. It's still the Redux Flux paradigm, where you still have your mutators, but the way it's set up is a lot simpler than many of the Redux how do you call this, Redux implementations like Redux Epic or all of these Thump or all of these things,
I've
and
started
mostly
che-
because
I've
it's
started
done by the Vue people as well, so it integrates very well. Like there's no slight change in the syntax. Yeah, sorry.
So Vue is for people that felt abandoned by Angular 1. I can vouch for that because I'm from Angular 1. We only managed to migrate move beyond Angular 1 2 years ago. So Vue actually definitely look very much like Angular 1 to me, like some of the APIs especially.
Yeah, and one thing for Vue I really like is their single file component system, because you're forced to separate out your Vue template, right, into to a separate section, and so you can't really use JavaScript inside that thing. Whereas in React, you just combine everything together in the render function, and it
I actually,
there was a
actually,
workflow that I had
I actually
before
like it.
where
I actually like the JSX way because I can compose
really
stuff out of it. There is,
well
of course, very magical.
yeah, but the way so this is a previous workflow that I had. We had like pure designers that only like does CSS,
Yeah.
JavaScript, etc. They're sorry,
Okay.
CSS and styles, HTML, very good at that. They're also like graphic design with like doing some things, and then we just give them the single file component, give them stubs of the
I think
JavaScript for the behavior. They just do the HTML, and that's great.
I think
And we
the
just plug
benefit of
things in.
Vue is that similar to Angular 1 is that it has a resemblance to the traditional way of writing
Mhm.
web. Like it's
Yeah.
Yes.
it's just JavaScript then binding to the templates.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a
It's
very gentle introduction to these
it's
things.
easy to reason for me. So this goes here and
Okay,
wire
those
things
are the
up.
adapts one. So do you want to
Yeah.
move on to trial?
Yeah.
Yep. Well, we still are talking about JavaScript. CSS in JS is very controversial,
Yeah.
and
Why is that?
again, well, because it's CSS, you would want to have the browser like read the CSS and do its own what
Yeah.
do you call this? Do its own optimization, right? Because it would know
Yes. Yes.
best how to do it.
Correct.
But
Correct.
if you're setting the DOM properties through JS, but mimicking how to set it through CSS, then there's like an intermediate layer towards that. And so it could be like it's CSS, but not really, because you can
Yes.
do
But
like
I have
certain declarations that is not supported by all browsers. Yeah.
I actually have a question about CSS in JS. I actually I don't do this, but I use it a lot because I'm lazy to have my own CSS file.
Well, if you're doing React, you usually have no choice but to do
um,
it. Otherwise, it's just
I,
difficult to
uh,
manage.
I can use CSS, but the thing is, I like my things to be composable.
Mhm.
um, I what my question is does because I actually didn't really it actually pop up in my mind just now, but I didn't actually went to check it out. CSS in JS is incurred. I mean, does it occur during runtime, or is actually when it's compile time you actually get compiled? You know, like is it an AOT or is it a
It's
runtime?
JS.
So okay,
It really depends on the implementation. Some
so
implementations will actually spit out a style sheet,
no, yeah,
but the problem is for dynamic elements, and you
okay,
style them because the IDs will be different, right? So it needs to be
okay,
like DOM manipulation.
okay. So it's
Oh yeah,
actually
there
mentioned
you
here.
go. So it's already
Yeah.
saying.
It's a
yeah.
runtime. Yeah. So do you want to go to the
And
next one?
so
Oh,
I
actually,
do not know what is that.
you actually Dinaria will actually. Okay, I'm gonna check it out afterwards.
Mhm.
It's gonna shift it to AOT instead of a runtime.
So some
So
of them compile style sheets. The
yeah,
problem would be like the
but I don't like
dynamic.
style components.
Okay.
So okay, expose is a Kotlin.
This is for Kotlin.
Yeah.
I do not know why, but I'm not. I do not know Kotlin enough.
Yeah.
Hmm.
DAO is actually very common in Java.
Yes.
It's an ORM. It's an
Yeah,
ORM then.
ORM DAO. So you only need to declare the interface. The
Yep.
things about DAO is data access object is that you only need to declare the interface, and
Yep.
the runtime or the depends on whichever environment you at. You're gonna generate the code for you. So you're gonna
Yes.
have your assessor and everything done for you.
Yep.
So what you need to
Mm.
do is only to do the declaration here. It's an ORM.
Yeah.
So is it a code generation thing, or does it need to do you need to compile it on
It's
uh,
I don't know how it works. I
as a
don't do
library?
much. I don't know enough Java to know it, but I use
Yeah.
enough in Android. I think it's actually code generation during compound time. Something like macro or something. I don't know. I don't know how it works actually.
It's not like what happens in Rails where it's like meta programming. Like, oh, you just called a method. I don't have that method, but I think this table has a column named the same method, so
Yeah.
I'm going to use that. So this actually like pre-generates code and then compiles that code inside.
Yeah.
Okay.
GraphQL inspector.
I can see why you need it. I never use GraphQL before, but the way you use it, you need to actually inspect how things being work and all that. I can see why. Like, you just need a tool when you work on the interface for that. So
I don't understand how you can have very performant queries if the way you query something always changes. Because in GraphQL you can experiment on things
I
based
think
on
for a
thing,
simple
right?
project, it's actually incur more complexity because you actually need to do a translation layer, unless you have a lot of APIs to maintain. And I think it's designed for like in cases I'm just guessing here, which is like in some of these big orgs they have a lot of like legacy APIs, RPC calls, everything. If you do it on GraphQL, then you actually save on on the front end or whoever that consume it, the development time on that development. But
because
then
they can
you
just
just
do
need
their
to
own queries.
then instead of but a lot of the use case outside that I see is people just do translation to the database. But I think it should be just because it doesn't care. We have to do the parsing and translation ourselves, so it can be translated to a external service call or anything else, or cache layer or whatever that is.
It feels very much like you're just exposing a data layer, a database basically, and instead of SQL you're using GraphQL. So you can query everything else.
So you won't break your API that way. No way. But
there's only usually in GraphQL there's only one endpoint, and you just get all of your data from there.
So the API doesn't get packages, I suppose. I'm not a fan of GraphQL. I'm opposite way of like REST and at least protobuf, which is very much predefined instead of like probably controversial. So anything to add? We just move to the next one. Karate.
Another API testing framework. Why?
Yeah, because it's actually something like what do you call this again? Cucumber. What do you call cucumber again? What do you call
behavior-driven
BDD?
Behavior.
BDD. Yeah, it looks very much like cucumber to me.
Can you zoom in?
Yeah, well, no, this is the Gherkin syntax. Given when then.
Okay, that's interesting.
Gherkin is a cucumber jerky as well, right?
Yeah.
I don't
Gherkin
know.
is actually it's a form of cucumber jerky. It's a pickle. It's a pickle.
Sorry. Yeah. So very fun. Like it's mainly for
You know what?
Gradle, so Java.
I think it's possible. Okay, I should really look at this.
Oh, it's actually for HTTP based API test. So
Correct. Because when I look at it, there's no reason unless they do some very interesting magic. There's no reason for this to only limit to only Java.
Yeah.
So I think it's something that I should look at.
not just limited to Java, because it's mainly targeted at HTTP APIs.
Yeah, correct. So I think it's something that I can. Okay, so the reason when you look at the syntax now, what made me really interesting is often when you test your API service, you literally really care about this. What's the payload? My only problem is our payload is a bit complicated. Complicated in the way that it's a bit complicated, but there is way to work around that. I think it's something that we can test, and it's not simple enough that I can get people to write it down, prepare the test scenario.
Is it do docs generation?
Yeah.
Okay. Coin is Kotlin.
Do not know what the hell is that.
Dependency
It's
injection.
a framework. Oh,
Okay.
It's Spring all over again.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of dependency injection because I don't like stack effect.
You functional.
Well,
I
the
prefer
classic,
everything to be pure.
the classic reason for like dependency injection is that wherever you deploy, then all of its dependencies, like what database URL to use, or all of these things, they just get determined. So you just deploy to production, it uses production credentials, let's say, or you
Yep.
deploy to staging, it connects to the staging whatever libraries on that particular machine. That's, I don't know. I
Yep.
found that we only get to like last time I used Spring, we only got to deploy to just one environment anyway, and so changing the XML file requires you to
Was-
redeploy the whole thing anyway. So might as well just put it there on the project, right? And not like, oh, I have to change it here, and then I have to change it the XML there. Oh, I made a misspelling because there's no type checking in the XML. And like, I don't know.
Yes.
It's quite.
Well, go to the next one.
Next.js. What is Next.js?
I actually don't know about it.
It's
know.
oh no, it's not Next. It's Nest. So this
Nest.
is different.
So it's for TypeScript.
Yes.
It's a TypeScript first. So it's actually Angular inspired architecture.
Okay.
So it's for something like
I
Express.
feel people are still
Okay.
still going to do Express just because it's simple.
Welcome, is that like Express, a web framework? Or it's just a front end framework? Angular version of the. Oh. So, okay.
Which doesn't really make sense to me because it's a framework for JavaScript.
Oh, it's a web.
So
It's a web framework then. I think
It
it's
seems
a
a
web.
lot
Server
of
side
these
JavaScript.
libraries are
Injectable.
like people having withdrawal from Angular.
Yeah.
What's wrong with Angular? Because I don't know. I
It's
actually
not
like.
supported anymore.
Oh no! I mean the new Angular.
Oh, the new Angular is like Rails. Like you have to buy into the whole system. You
I
can't just
think
pick and choose.
That's a good and bad thing because I do a lot of React and try to do a lot of React with some of the junior developers. Is that because you get too much freedom in React, they get lost.
Mhm.
In a way, like I think the structure and the stability of Angular actually is actually much better for the juniors to catch up on. Instead of having them to
It's,
understand, like you have a lot of these wrappers, like higher level,
Mhm.
higher order. How do you understand like
It's the standardization is great for projects with a lot of people with varying skill levels.
Awesome.
Yeah, you're right with the problem with the small parts is that there's so many opinions floating around that if your
Yeah.
group is not tightly knit or like your group does not have the same skill level, it's going to be very easy for people to fall behind or not to be
Yes.
able to catch up.
And also, it can be really easy, especially the way how you do state management.
Yeah.
Everybody might end up if unwatched and left like unmonitored. Everybody will come up with their own state management, especially for React.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. So let's
go
see.
next one.
Nest apparently is trial, so I guess they're recommending it. Like if you're doing
Trial.
JavaScript.
Check it out.
Although I still don't know why you would do JavaScript in the backend.
TypeScript first is interesting, so at least.
Well, it happens.
There's some
people
safety
think
there,
that
and I'm allowed compared to Go. I can do like more functional each. I mean, it allows me to do more functional each and type safety kind of type safety first kind of way of writing things. So,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
PyTorch. PyTorch is interesting for me if you
been
do
a
deep
while.
learning.
Deep
It's
learning.
a very different way compared to TensorFlow. It's more developer friendly, I believe.
I think it's been around for a while. It's from Facebook, right?
Yes. Correct. It's originally on their own, then they absorbed into Facebook.
Okay.
So now they are the main developer.
And from what I read a bit, I actually tried it out a bit. From what I read, it's actually slightly lower level than TensorFlow.
Yeah, correct.
So it allows you to access more APIs than TensorFlow does, because TensorFlow is basically an abstracted version of things, like if you want to just see the results.
Correct. And also, if you look at research paper, they have a tendency to use PyTorch over TensorFlow for this particular reason. Will you touch it? I do not know. Yes, go on.
Why PyTorch over TensorFlow for research? What was
Because they want to tune it better. By being low level, you can tune more things.
Because TensorFlow is like a higher level package if you want to just focus on doing data and modeling.
Correct.
But PyTorch is if you want to go technical, like with the hardware and things, I think.
Correct. Which is why PyTorch is one of the first framework that can be compiled to mobile and all that before TensorFlow can do that. So before TensorFlow Lite, you can through PyTorch you can actually compile a model to be used for embedded system. So some of the STM series is compiled from PyTorch, not TensorFlow. So PyTorch is interesting for low level and a lot more stuff. TensorFlow had a lot better support. Think of it like higher level languages, right? So higher level frameworks. TensorFlow is the higher level framework. You want to get things done, you get all the support. PyTorch give you a bit lower level and allow you to do more things. And for researcher, the lower level for you to tune things is very important. So that's my opinion on that lah. Yeah, let's go down.
Rust.
Rust, yes, evaluate it, move on. If you want my opinion, I play around with Go and Rust. I like Go because I can write something out really fast in Go. Rust is the same. I like it because it had a lot more safety. For C, I come from C and C++.
There's a lot of type level safety you can do with Rust. So
correct.
It's actually compile time. Yeah.
Yes.
Ivan.
Yes.
He doesn't have internet access, I think.
Or worse, he had internet access, but the technology are so weird, he can't use our stuff.
Well,
I shut down.
But he can use his phone, right? He has a modern phone, unless he has like a Nokia.
I have no idea.
Keypad phone.
But either way, I like Rust because he had a lot of good idea to play with. I do not know whether you want to use it for production, but it's interesting as a language.
And it's actually focused on it does a lot of things during compound time. So a lot of the overhead are actually being stripped. I mean, it offers you a lot of high level functionality, like a functional language does, but it actually strip it away during the compile time. So you are actually free to use these high level functionalities while not losing out performance due to the abstraction.
Yep.
That's why I think that is why also the compilation is very slow.
Yep.
So should we go to the next one?
Yes.
Speaking of Go, Kafka.
Yeah. Surama is a client. I don't know why this is here. It's just a client for Kafka. So next.
Yeah. Next.
I don't know.
Swift UI.
Most of the time you don't need Kafka. If you
Yep.
use Go, and you need something like pops up, or you just try out
You
Nets
write
and
a new-
NTS. You can write your own.
Or you just
easily.
you can write your own. Yeah, you just like
or just use
have a
channel.
separate process running channels.
Okay, next Swift UI.
Swift UI. Not a fan of Apple. You guys can take over.
Haven't managed to do anything with Swift UI.
Yeah.
We actually do iOS programming, but we do it in React Native.
So
Right.
how is it different from Coco and the old way of doing it?
I think Coco is the old one.
Yeah, but
It
how
just-
is it? Is it are they re-implementing all of the NS objects in Swift?
I think
guess?
they are actually taking those away, just like NS are being phased out. I think just like .NET Framework and .NET Core.
Mm. Okay.
Didn't do much. Wow. So Clinic JS, back to JS world.
Lots of JavaScript.
Yes. JavaScript you can't avoid it because you
It's a
need more and more
profiling.
tools.
Okay.
Yes.
I like profiling.
Yeah. Profiling.
Yes, profiling is awesome.
Always know. Don't just plug numbers from the thin air. Just profile them.
Correct. Disclaimer, I was lazy, but please profile your code. Do as I say, but don't do as I do. But profiler is
They say that you profile your code by letting your users profile your code. If they say it's too slow, then it's probably too slow, right?
yeah, but the thing is,
That's how you
so
profile.
you're right, but modern day profile. Even the most basic profiler now give you some form of visualization of bottleneck in the lowest level of your code. It visibly, so it won't be like your
I'm not sure
application
if
is
you guys
slow. Go on.
Under instrumentation, we actually have what we call this is from a new relic. It's called AppText Index.
Yep.
Mm.
So it's actually how much the user how much is your targeted acceptable performance, which is normally represented in latency.
Yes.
So and the tolerating factor. So check it out if you're interested. I'm not going to cover more. I actually talk about this two times in GoLang Meetup.
Mm.
The thing
So,
is,
check it out.
I think the number of complaints per hour might be a better.
Yeah.
index.
but
Yeah,
the
but
question
User
here is,
satisfaction.
profiling is a rare skill. I don't know.
yeah. Malcolm should
Yeah, because
actually
you have to match the
Malcolm
numbers
should actually
to
join the
actual
GoLang
behavior.
Meetup.
Yeah.
I do
I mean,
profiling from time to time.
is profiling rare at all? Because I have
No,
to do it.
what is difficult is matching those numbers to like perceived user satisfaction. Like, okay, so you have 1.2 seconds of latency.
Yeah.
Is that good? Is that bad? Is that
Yeah.
something
No.
like
Then you look
You
at
don't
then
know,
you look
right?
at profiling wrongly because when we do profiling, we actually look at various level, right? Then we get a
Yeah.
number. Then we know that if it's a function that face user, maybe that is something. Is there something below it? If it is it database or is it some logic problem? That's why you have profiling,
Yeah.
right? That's why profiling,
Mhm.
and it's the same for your
Yeah.
JavaScript and whatnot. I have this favorite story. I hope I don't take too long. So at one time, this is pre-JavaScript. That is jQuery time. I have a coworker that implement a calendar planner in JavaScript, and it's too slow. Right? It's very slow. At that time, there's no such as profiling tools. Right? the JavaScript is very bad. So what happened is the same idea is still the same. You still have to look at, okay, this is the first thing that user see. What do they call? Then you roughly, it's essentially what is then various function that is being called. Then trace it back to a data structure being used that is used wrongly. The idea is still the same. Profiling is really about what is user facing, what is being called. In between those called, what is the slowest thing among all? Yes and no.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes,
No.
Let your users profile for you.
But-
I mean, if that is front end, but what if it's a back end pipeline?
no. Worse,
just-
what if it's a front end that is slow before they even call the back end? Now you have
Well,
something
yeah, that's-
stupid.
in the end, yeah. So that's the thing. In the end, the reason why you want to profile it is because something
Yeah.
is affecting something,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
There was a
Correct.
side effect.
Yeah. Or
And-
you
and-
you
go
probably
profiler
don't know
is
the
a-
cause about it.
You can go very deep. That's the whole point for it,
Mhm.
and that's the whole point of a profiler.
I think just like similarly, you should always test your code and
Yes,
benchmark your code. Then profiling is
Yes.
actually when during runtime something happened that you have no idea. Probably some, just like how Tristan said, probably some side effect in the middle. Then you need profiling
Yes.
or tracing or this kind of
Correct.
mechanism in.
correct. There's a lot of backup for zero users. Yes, but then our
So
computer
now-
is usually fast enough. Let's go on.
If you're using Node.js, you have Bubble Prof with a
Yes.
visualization.
Correct.
Maybe that
Very
will help.
interesting stuff.
Well, this what this is.
Oh,
Data
DQ.
engineering, DQ, but based on
I don't know what
Spark,
DQ is.
Not in the data.
AWS
things.
layer. You need test for data.
I don't. Maybe I'm not in the field because I don't understand
Yeah.
the analogy.
Yes.
So it's actually to basically test your data. Instead of testing,
What are you
your code.
testing on the data?
No,
Whether it's
you
in the
are-
correct format?
You still have to.
It's actually
essentially that.
it's actually a data test.
Yes.
So
Put
Whether
this
the
way,
data is correct or not? I don't
Yep.
get what
No.
is it about the data that are you testing?
okay, so I give you a very quick analogy. Not analogy, reverse analogy. Let's say you had a column of your spreadsheet. You have a lot of those things. Column that is empty, and A. That is not a good data set that you want to use it. So this is one of
Okay.
those things that
Interesting.
test with.
It's basically whether your data set is clean or not.
yeah.
Is that
Roughly.
it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Let me break
Or like-
the bubble here. If the customer pass you over data,
Yes.
every single time they're gonna screw it up.
Yes.
Yes. The data, do not trust the data that
So,
they pass you.
so basically, it's
Yes.
whether the data it conforms to the schema that you wanted.
Or conform
That's-
to the whatever contract you define
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So including like quantiles and like all this
Mm,
DSL, check it out.
yes.
You do data work, and I think it's actually leveraging on Spark. That's why like it's meant to be testing, used to test really big data.
Yeah.
So if you only have 100 lines or a million lines rows of data, then I don't think you actually need something like this.
Yes.
Because
Just catch the exceptions, right? When you're trying to.
catch the exception, right? Yeah, write a batch game or something.
Yes.
Because Spark actually you can if you have really big data, then you can leverage on the Spark like scaling and stuff to get it tested or
Yeah.
scale across. Yeah.
Ernie, this is a way for you to build
Yeah.
natural language application.
I disagree of this side effects better, and also complexity matters, and how you design
Yes.
your complexity.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah. It's a bit more nuanced lah.
So
Ernie
is
is
Ernie
actually
a DSL?
no. It's a It's a language model.
Okay.
It's a human language model. It's for you to build your chatbot or for you to understand using. So let's say you have model to understand understand sentences. Ernie is one of those things you plug in to use. So you use this on top of your natural language processing task, building a chatbot,
my
summarizing.
problem with NLP is I remember at one time there was this pseudoscience thing called neuro linguistic programming.
Yeah. No, that still happens.
So so it reminds me of that whenever I see NLP.
Correct. See, those guys have programmed you.
Yeah, I get Pavlov.
Yeah.
But
You
seriously,
can program a computer. Why can't the computer program you?
no, NLP is the process to program human. Let's not go there.
Yeah.
Only BERT and all that is interesting. It's not on a level where it's not something I plug and play yet. You still have to work on it. Most natural language processing tasks is you still have to work on it in a way that you have to collect your corpus.
You have to train your model, right?
This is pre-trained, so you have to train again. But before you train it, you still need your domain. So, for example, things that is easier to train is those that have a lot of text. So, let's say you have a very good database.
I think just know your requirement, I mean,
correct. So for natural language processing, you still need to collect a lot of text, a reasonable amount of text. So very likely it's things like your support request. Your support request is a very good one because from there you will recognize that what module you are supporting, what product you're supporting. And often when those things are recorded as text, right, transcript. So this is the type of data set that is very useful for NLP tasks. Then you use those data set, your support ticket data set and response, and use it to train your model again. Then from there, you want to compare whether it works for you. So they are automated. You can fast track your support ticket and whatnot. Do you get that part? So this is like a pre-trained model that has basic thing. Then you train on top of your data. So that's the whole point for this. So yeah, very interesting. NLP is also the type of problem that is dot problem. So I try to have something that's nice to use. Let's before I confuse people, any question before I move on?
Yeah, what's media pipe?
Yep.
The next one is media pipe.
Okay, I do not know media pipe, but I do not know media pipe, but I know I used to work with media before. I used to work for CDN company. So when you try to have a video,
it's actually an ML
solution for media pipe, right? Yeah. So one step at a time. So you have, of course, the video that actually overlay your image and all that. But to send video over is actually very hard because one video is not frame by frame. You need to convert frame by frame and all that. This is interesting for a few reasons. I think very interesting for CCTV. I do not know whether you want to use it for mobile. It's possible maybe you have something for that. But yeah, I think it's interesting.
It's a scam. No way you can
But
somebody.
Yeah.
It's like I have seen a lot of fantasies about you being able to reprogram other people and do what you want them to do.
Yeah.
Have you watched The Manchurian Candidate?
No
idea. I know
Homeland. Homeland, the TV series.
At least finish the first season.
So
like
okay,
brainwashing.
Yeah. The Manchurian Candidate is about this person.
I don't know about this.
So it's an extension for Pavlov. So an American soldier ends up in Soviet Union, then being brainwashed to assassinate someone in the US. But he don't want to. He got programmed by it. So so the Manchurian Candidate leads to Homeland, and then leads to another series in Israel that I don't remember the name. So let's move to Tailwind CSS.
What's I don't know what's I mean I've used it before, but it's just a CSS framework. I know it's better than Bootstrap because Bootstrap is a bit too much magic, I guess. That if you do something outside of Bootstrap, everything doesn't look like Bootstrap anymore.
Yes.
But because Tailwind is more closer to CSS, then you basically can do a lot of things. I just don't see the appeal of sticking with Tailwind if you know CSS already, like you know your way
I like
around like
I like Tailwind.
CSS. Hmm.
I never used it before. Should
I
I
like
learn
Tailwind.
it?
Is that the difference with CSS is that yes, I can write my own CSS, but um, it's slightly higher level than CSS, but you can still
Yep.
compose the style, and it's
Yeah.
actually for a beginner or for some people, it's actually not very something to be not very. I mean, if you not doesn't look appetizing, especially for people that
Come
not
from
familiar with
Bootstrap?
this. Yeah, not
Because for
or
example in Bootstrap, if you want a button, you create an anchor tag, give it a class button,
yeah,
and how
yeah,
large is it,
but
and
yeah,
that's it. You have a nice
but
button with
but
shading.
Tailwind is more than that.
Yeah, I
You
mean it's
you
closer
can
to
put in like
CSS.
border, the margin, the padding.
Mm-hmm.
I like it, but I don't use it because I don't. I think people will kill me if I use it.
Okay. Okay.
So, especially for components,
Mhm.
it's very personal actually. Let's go to the next one.
Hmm.
Tamer Kafka
Yep.
from a Tamer is
Kafka
like
again.
JDBC connector for Kafka. Okay, so it's a data exporter.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think it's a data exporter to Kafka. Data connector. Yeah.
To or
Let me
from Kafka?
from no to Kafka from database.
Ah,
Mhm.
so it's a Kafka. So it's in ingestion.
Yep.
You get data from somewhere, put it into Kafka, and then Kafka probably like delivers it somewhere else.
Mhm.
Okay,
So let's go next one.
what is
Wire
wire?
dependency injections from Google. I don't like dependency injection.
Yeah.
Sorry. Uh,
Yes.
okay, because
Connecting
wire.
components using dependency injection. I'm probably not in the correct space, so I don't
Yes.
know how to use this. Like, what are the good use cases for this?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
No,
prefer things to
sorry.
be nicer.
Compile time injection tool.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But dependency injection is the reason why you have unit tests
Well,
and all that working.
maybe this is like a way. For example, if you have instead of extensions and it's dynamically linked, right? Like you can
Yeah,
add
that's
remove
that's
all
what
these
DI promised
extensions.
you to do.
Yeah.
That's what DI promised you to do.
But
You
because this is
can
compile
extend it.
time DI, then
Yep.
you have to recompile every time you had an
Yeah.
extension. But then you don't have to
Yes.
worry about like you just drop it into a folder probably and then it gets compiled along. You don't have to actually call the library manually and
Yes.
hardcode the call. You call
Yes.
into an abstraction and the abstraction figures out,
Yep.
oh, you have a thing in this folder
So you
and
can
then you
switch over
Correct.
just
like
load it.
database and stuff for tests and
Yes.
everything without having to write interface and like
Mhm.
specifically write an interface or mock to
Uh,
test it out, something like that.
so the whole point of DI is actually it allows you to inject behavior to a
Yep.
code without changing the core
Yep.
implementation.
Yeah.
It's not about OOP and all that.
Yeah.
It
It's
helps. OOP helps,
it's
but
actually
it's
I think it's
yeah.
something like monkey patching
Yes. Yes.
in
But
Python.
okay,
Yeah.
correct. A closer idea for this is when you pass in a function. When you had a function, then you pass in a function to a function, then the function only produce something out. Those are dependency injection like patterns.
Mhm.
Another one
Not
will
really.
be yeah.
It's not like callback. It's actually how do I explain it? It's actually changing. Like let's say you have a let's say it let's oh we lost probably got ejected. So probably you have the simplest example is you have a global that your function depends on, but during something runtime or testing time, when you bootstrap, you actually change that global. So when your function that depends on that global runs, you actually runs with the data that you change. Yes.
Mhm.
So, I mean, that's very naive way to explain it, but that's the simplest
Yep.
example.
Correct.
So another way of explaining it from a talk I've heard is that because the call graph, right? When you call a
Yeah.
function from inside your function,
I can't.
the direction is outside, right?
Mm-mm.
It's going outside. So you basically call, because you hard code the name of the function into your thing.
Mhm.
If you inject it inside, actually it's the one outside that's being coupled towards yours. You're coupled towards
Yes.
an interface, like to whatever is injected. Basically, you don't care what is injected. I'm just going to use it, and then the one that's
Yep.
outside gets coupled. So the coupling is reversed in that order. Instead of you
Yes.
going
Correct.
outside making, so the coupling is very hard on you. You have to depend on it instead of depending on what is injected.
Yes.
Come on, let's proceed to the next one. This is one of my favorite.
Yes.
X-state.
X state. What is X state?
X-state
State
is
management.
state management. It's
What's the
you
difference
can say
between?
it's actually something similar. I mean, it not this actually very closely resemble to what RSJ is trying to do. So it's actually this state management like RSJS.
Mm-hmm.
So you can chain them and do things lah.
Okay.
Is this about treating data as streams?
Yep. So yep,
Okay, yeah. So it's
along the
like
line of that.
RxJS then.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's something along the line of that.
Wait,
So-
enzyme. I guess we're in the hole because they prefer React testing library now.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. That is fast.
What-
I
what?
thought I last heard of it 2 years back.
Enzyme is it like the de facto testing thing.
No, I last heard of it when I last heard people use it last year. That is fast.
Mhm.
Interesting. You guys have attention deficit, isn't it?
So okay.
I feel that I don't know this reasoning
Oh.
that testing
Yeah, of
internals
course,
to brittle and maintainable is probably because you're testing the wrong things.
yeah, correct.
It's a common thing. I experience it as well.
Yes.
Where I'm testing,
Yes.
okay, it's very brittle. There is a way to do internal state testing correctly, which is not to test internally. You test for side effects. You don't test how it was done. You test what is the result, and it's just a very different one. But I guess if React testing library like nudges you towards the correct way of doing tests, then so be it. I guess that's how it is.
Yes.
Yeah, we actually finished the
Language
tools
of
and
framework.
languages.
Mostly JavaScript, I guess.
And also, I noticed that they also had a bias toward whatever they're using. So
that follows
Kotlin,
that follows
front-end.
that follows their philosophy as well.
Yes, correct.
Mhm.
So
Like solid terminology and those things.
yeah, pick and choose. It's not
Yeah.
all bad. It's some of the tools is pretty good, but it's not always suit your scenario. Pick and choose for it. So
I think
Yeah.
know your limitation.
correct. Put it this way, everyone has slightly different problem. Your problem do not always match it with 100%.
What do you
It might or
mean?
might
I
not help.
just run it in GCP and all my problems are solved.
Yeah, you solve it with your credit
GCP
card.
solves all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, with a credit
Unfortunately,
card.
at this economy, I do not know what we can spend nowadays. I just glad I had a reasonably fast computer for me to prototype shit out.
So one of the new Raspberry Pi 4 is on sales. Does that happen to
Yes.
Malaysia as well?
Yes. Raspberry Pi 4, 8 gigabytes of memory is on
Yes.
sale now. If you
Yes.
go to Citron Facebook page, they have, or Facebook, sorry, YouTube stream, they have a stream there with a promo code of about 40 ringgit off. So they're selling it at like 350.
Yep.
And if you get 40 ringgit off, so it's about 300 ringgit for an 8 gig Raspberry Pi 4.
Yeah.
And I want to buy one, but I don't know what I'm going to use it for. I already have Raspberry Pi 4 1 gig. I don't really
Yes.
know much what
I'm
to
still
use
running
it
on
for.
the
and-
3. It's actually the CPU is powerful enough, but the downside is
Yeah.
that the Ethernet port is not gigabit.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah.
I use it mainly as the DNS cache. So for DNS,
Yeah.
it's actually good enough.
Yes.
Yep, I think that's about it. We reached
Yes.
our time. We actually went a bit over.
Yeah. Which one is our next? Which quadrant are we doing next?
We actually supposed to do the tools because we are not so familiar with some of the tools. Like I don't actually live in the 21st century, so and initially we thought that you are not going to be around, so let's do it next week.
Ah,
Is
Okay.
it DevOps based tools? If it is, we should invite other people in, not just us,
Yeah,
because
DevOps, some DevOps too.
we should invite more people. I think the last time, was it Axel that was here? Or I forgot.
Yeah.
yes,
Kevin, like they had like really good input on some of the
Yeah.
areas.
correct.
So Malcolm, you should come
Feel free to
and join because
I actually pull you into the channel, so feel free to join us. The link is posted there.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
we just
And
click
also,
the link and join.
And also, when you say use an OCS concept, you use many term in a very different way. That's
Yeah.
not always true. That's not always true, because it's just that people tends to like to mix up stuff.
Yeah.
As a result,
I consider that a compliment because I think I'm older
Yes.
than stage.
and put it this way, a lot of these tools are literally timeless. You know how often Unix change at interfaces? Not at all. I mean, the last change is like Unix version 4 or something. That is like 1990.
It's story time.
so these
we have
things
to,
are called.
we have to write it
Huh?
up. And also the backend world actually changes very slowly.
Yeah.
Now,
It's very
these things are called infrastructure for a reason. Like electricity has that like sine wave kilohertz because everyone just standardized on it. It's part of infrastructure.
Yes.
And so same with backends, with some of the tools, they become infrastructure such that everyone just does it the same way and everyone depends on it.
Yes. It's like vaccine.
But,
It still works.
But feel free
Okay,
because
that's
we actually need somebody in the front end world or the 21st century to join us. So feel free
Yes.
to come in and chime in your opinions. Yeah, we need more different voices around. So we need to wrap it up.
And we'll see you all next week. If you are on YouTube, like and subscribe. On Facebook, just share thing.
Yes.
Just
Also
like
like our page as well. Like our page as well. Don't forget. It's
Okay,
very,
that's a good point.
yes.
Bye.
Ta-da. Ta-ta.